Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office continuation coverage of Scream 5's opening weekend, which is expected to, based on these Thursday and Friday numbers, be on pace to match what it was estimated to make, which is going to be between $30 and $40 million for both the 3 and 4 day MLK weekend numbers respectively, and is expected to have the best opening for MLK weekend for a horror film. Yes, don't you always love when those records are set, when it's like the 5th Monday after the 6th Tuesday in the year 2021? Again, I always love whenever they choose more obscure references, though at least with this one, MLK weekend being an extended weekend, it is, I think, a pretty good metric. However, it is only, again, setting a record for horror films, not necessarily for all films to ever release on MLK, which I think puts things into a better perspective. But let's go ahead and actually talk about these numbers and the numbers for other films like Spider-Man No Way Home, Sing 2, Belle, and the 355, which is plummeting to no one's surprise. Before we go any further into these numbers, please make sure you smash that like button, light that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. And speaking of which, tonight's live stream today on the 15th of January is going to be canceled, as this weekend is anniversary weekend for Freya and I, and so because of that we'll be having dinner and stuff tonight, so therefore no live stream this evening. But don't worry, we will have our live stream on Tuesday, so be ready for that. Looking into these numbers, as you can see, Scream, this is including the Thursday night opening numbers and Friday's estimates, put it at $13.3 million on its opening day, which really isn't all that impressive for an opening day in general, but for a opening day over MLK for a horror film, apparently this is impressive. Spider-Man No Way Home has made another $5.1 million, dropping 38% from its last Friday, so once again, very, very strong holds for this movie. Scotty Boy Mendelsohn. Sing 2 also is having some strong holds as well, as it has now made $1.79 million more dollars, putting it well over still the $100 million mark, now at 112.8. Right now, Spider-Man No Way Home is on pace to cross the $700 million mark here domestically, which would put it in the territory of not just, going past films like Infinity War, but also films like Black Panther, which, if anyone's going to talk about a massive domestic release as far as pretty much all-time films in the MCU, when you look at a film like Black Panther, it's still one of the top films domestically in the entirety of the MCU. And so, therefore, Spider-Man No Way Home, during all of the pandemic, scaredemic stuff, what's going on? It's still destroying all of the narratives, still holding very, very strong at well over 3,000, almost 4,000 screens still. And again, still making money to boot and having very strong holds here domestically, and I imagine also internationally as well. Sing 2 also holding as well. Belle, which is a new film, which I don't know too much about. I believe this is an anime film, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and open this up and we'll do it live. It looks like to be an anime film. So $56 million is what that's made in total worldwide. So it's looking like it's getting its its debut release here in the States. So again, relatively, I would say, coming out exclusively at 1,300 screens, not really a very strong genre, I would say, here in the States, especially if you're only going to put it out in 1,300 screens. It's doing okay. It's already made money elsewhere, it looks like. While the 355 comes in at number 5, making less than, again, this is insane, it's been out for 8 days, $660,000 on a Friday. That's pathetic. That is just, those are pathetic numbers there. So it looks like the experiment has been an ultimate fail. And remember, because this is now going into the second weekend, we're going to be able to make some predictions about this movie as far as how little money and really how much money it's going to end up losing, while we'll also be able to, I believe this is the only film that is going to be hitting the 2-week mark as of this weekend, so this should be a lot of fun. Also, we'll be able to do some initial estimates for films like Scream and continue our coverage of Spider-Man No Way Home. If we actually look to what the box office media is saying on the subject, they're saying Scream, it's hitting a loud pitch with a $36 million 4-day. Wow, so impressive, right? Well, In the era of Spider-Man No Way Home, it's still not all that impressive. However, with the film only costing about $24 million and its break-even being roughly $60 million, it actually is a pretty good sign that the film will break even, depending on how it does internationally. It could break even this weekend or potentially even next weekend. We saw something similar happen with Halloween Kills, where Halloween Kills had a very small budget, and because it had just enough people who care about the franchise left still, it was able to squeeze out breaking even in its opening weekend. I don't know if Scream's going to be able to do so. It really depends on how it's going to do internationally, so we'll have to wait and see what those numbers are tomorrow. But based on what we're seeing right now, it looks like it is well on its way to breaking even. However, again, in the grand scheme of things, how impressive is it really? As it says right here, we can complain about Omicron. Yeah, you'll always use it as an excuse when it's convenient for you, and then you'll say, oh, it's not a thing when it's not convenient for you. So it goes on to say, but I wouldn't necessarily complain about the variant is spoiling the top films at the box office, as Paramount's Spyglass's Scream had a robust first day of $13.3 million on its way to $31.5 for a 3-day, and a $36 million 4-day at over 3,000 theaters. And so this is very much in line with what we were talking about the other day with Box Office Pro's forecast. So for them, they had 25 to 35 for the 3-day, 28 to 39 for the 4-day. So it's still very much in that line for them. Their final estimate for the 3-day was 29. Final estimate for the 4-day was 33. So it's definitely on the higher end of their predictions, but it does still fall in line with what they were saying. Again, a lot higher than what the original estimates that were coming out of places like Deadline were, which is why I do tend to take Box Office Pros, even though they can still very much be off, just like any of these so-called experts, box office experts can be, making these types of projections. They seem to be usually at least a little bit more on the nose than what we typically see from the likes of Deadline, etc. It says that 4-day beats Mama, the previous high opening for a horror movie, over MLK. Again, that's the record that's being broken here. And overall, Scream's 3-day isn't far from its previous sequel opening high. Scream 2, which did 32.9 in 97. Scream 3, which made 34.7 back in 2000. A great start for 2022. Here is the problem. As you just mentioned, that was back in 1997 and in 2000, meaning when you adjust for inflation, those numbers do not become nearly as impressive. Meaning this film is not doing as well as the previous films of the franchise, because this franchise has clearly lost a lot of people's interest. It does not seem to be as popular of a franchise. So many people in my comment section are like, I didn't even know that there was another Scream coming out. And some are even just questioning Scream 5. How in the world have they been able to justify 5 of these films? And me and so many other people are definitely with you asking those same questions. But yeah, when you actually do comparison and you actually, compare this in the right way, meaning compare this in the fair way of adjustment for inflation, it is just night and day. Even when you compare this to a film like Mama, which this is supposed to be beating, it really is going to have to get to that $36 million mark to really be able to actually make that type of argument. If you actually look to the movie comparison between Scream and Mama, yeah, it's doing better than Mama did on its Friday and therefore its Thursday premiere. We'll see, of course, how it does on the Saturday and Sunday. But again, on Monday, it got Mama $36.2 million when you adjust for inflation. So if right now the 4-day is projected to be around $36 million, you could still have, in real numbers and real data, Mama still being on top. And so again, they'll always try and find any type of metric, any type of record that they can. Again, sometimes it could be as obscure as the first Monday of the first December of the first decade of all time broke the record. Again, they'll use anything. This one at least makes a little bit more sense, being specific to the holiday, being specific to MLK weekend. But horror films and MLK week, I'm surprised that they didn't try to be like PG-13 or rated R horror films, because sometimes they'll even go down that route as well. So we'll see if it's able to hold up with Mama, which did not get a whole lot of praise back in the day. But again, we'll have to, of course, wait and see on those numbers. So it could very well beat Mama. But again, when you adjust for inflation, it's very, very important to keep in mind that that's what it really should be based off of. And honestly, I don't see how it could even possibly beat the $166.8 million worldwide that Mama made back in 2013. Again, we'll have to, of course, wait and see what kind of numbers it gets internationally. But again, I would say I'm a bit skeptical on this one personally. Again, this is a Paramount project, which means it's going to be 45-day theatrical window most likely. So we'll have to wait and see. Also, keep in mind, Mama came out in a lot less theaters and was still able to do pretty much as well. So I think that speaks volumes for it overall. So going into the actual Scream numbers, that's all we have so far as data is $13.3 million for the domestic. Don't have any word yet on how well or not well it's doing internationally, or really how many screens it's even opening at internationally. But as we can see, the film is expected to break a record supposedly, while at the end of the day still being nothing in comparison to the likes of Spider-Man No Way Home, which again, well over 1.6 million at this point. I believe that's yeah, so it's around 1.5. So yeah, this film's going to get to 1.6, 1.7 range this weekend. Again, seeing that this film has been out for, again, a little while, at least at this point, this still has a pretty, decent, I would say, a pretty decent amount of days really left in its tank. If you actually just look to the number of days overall, again, it's been out for about 29, 30 days. I think that there is still some money to be had here. So I think that the original estimate that some experts were giving of 1.75 billion makes a lot of sense. I still think that there might still be enough in the tank. We'll have to wait for the international numbers this weekend to really see how much slowing is going on internationally, or whether or not it's remaining relatively stagnant, if it's having as strong holds or not. But I would still say there is a decent chance of it getting even above 1.75 billion, but we'll have to wait on those numbers. I just wanted to give this bit of a coverage. Do you think that Scream, obviously it's going to, at this point, at this rate, if these numbers hold, it is going to dethrone Spider-Man for the first time? First time Spider-Man will not be the number one film of the weekend, because it is, again, still right now, more than doubled what Spider-Man is doing at this point, 29 days in. But the fact that it's that close and it's that much of a difference, I think also speaks to Scream. Yeah, it might be, reaching to a certain demographic of people, and it might be, reaching to a certain audience of people. And sure, it might even be able to reach certain milestones because especially of its lower budget. But again, in comparison, it's apples and oranges. And again, Scream is not even going to do anywhere close to the likes of a film like even Sing 2. So I think that it's, again, might be doing well, kind of. It's doing a heck of a lot better than the 355 did. So it's interesting how a so-called original film is not able to do much of anything, mostly because of just, again, crap story, concept in the first place. Again, I haven't even seen the film, but the fact that and again, just based on reading about it, that Jessica Chastain just wanted a film that was a female spy film, and that's where they started off as their jumping off point. When you start off with identity politics at your jumping off point, there's just no way or very little chance of a good story being able to come from that, because that's going to keep on weighing you down as you go forward. It's going to be, okay, let's go here, but we want to still make sure that it's centered on this main idea and the central focal point of it being a female spy film. And again, clearly people are rejecting it in droves, and it is doing incredibly poorly at this point. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Do you think Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be able to make more than 1.75 billion by the end of its run? Again, I think it still has some time left. And for Scream, are you surprised that Scream is doing as well as it is? I know that I am surprised that these are numbers that are coming in. We'll have to, of course, wait and see what the actual numbers are when everything is said and done. But obviously, this is something that we are still waiting on. So let me know your thoughts about this and anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, light that fire button over on Odyssey. And also, if I haven't said it already, thank you again, everyone, for your kind words, thoughts, and prayers during this past week. It's great that the Supreme Court indeed voted correctly, at least on one of the cases. And I can say, just as to share a bit about my own self and my own life, that my business is no longer breathing down my neck about it. They have basically decided to not implement anything since the court has basically given them an out. So very thankful for that. But the battle is won. The war is still being waged. So again, thank you all for your prayers and your kind words. And as far as the live streams are concerned, I'll see you all on Tuesday. And I will have, of course, my box office breakdown here and on the, of course, box office breakdown for Geeks and Gamers tomorrow as well. Anyway, you're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my January Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members. Starting first off with Locals, shout out to Kara Tharp, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Biffer DeHobbit, and Robert Barnes. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Locals platform. Also a shout out to my Subscribe Star people, UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson once again, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B, Mr. Roy, Boy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the Subscribe Star platform. And lastly, to my Patreon supporters, my 30 Patreon supporters over there, animation commentator Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Hannibal Grimm, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Lance, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, and Tina Bojan, and of course, Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you all so very much for your love and for your support. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and at the end of every video, please make sure that you support me over on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or on Locals. Also, you get a ton of other goodies if you support at the Army of Asgard level and above. Starting at the Army of Asgard level, you get access to various giveaways that I do during the month, including various 4K titles. Many of them 4K Steelbook titles, and so if you want access to that, check out the Army of Asgard level on those platforms specifically. You also get access, once you are a Keeper of the Bifrost level member, to that, plus a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where you actually get to ask us questions, and also, of course, get access to that and the library of previous podcast episodes. We're up to about 33 episodes now that we have been able to do. I think most of those episodes now at this point we've actually done it together, which has been a lot of fun. And of course, you can join at the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, Chosen of Valhalla live stream level, where you get access to not only all of those things, but also you get access to be featured on the channel once a month during the Chosen of Valhalla live stream with the other Chosen members, which is always a lot of fun. Also, during your first month, you get a free t-shirt sent anywhere in the world. You just let me know your size. Let me know the t-shirt that you want from the store over on Teespring or on TeePublic, whichever you prefer, and I will gladly send that out to you if you're at that level. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.